Hello and welcome to this webinar on energy performance contracting, in particular the results of the Guarantee Policy Recommendations report. My name is Joe Hayden and I'm an engineer with Codema, Dublin Energy Agency. And we're advisors to the Dublin local authorities. We're founded in 1997 as a not-for-profit organisation and with 13 staff based in Temple Bar in Dublin. We offer services in energy monitoring, energy awareness, energy policy and planning, project management and funding, and we also act as EPC project facilitators. We have gained quite a lot of experience in EPC over the last few years through our involvement in European funded projects, particularly Easy 2020 and Guarantee. Both of these were directly focused on the promotion of EPC in Europe, and in particular the role of the EPC project facilitator. And it's through our involvement in these projects that we have got to work on EPC projects and gained a lot of experience through working with partners from Berlin and Austria and Belgium and Czech Republic and Spain. Partners with 20 to 30 years experience in delivering EPC. And we have also facilitated 2 EPC projects over the last number of years, and the first of these was with the Dublin City Council sports and fitness or leisure centres, 3 of these buildings, and then the second is a pool of 7 buildings with sports and fitness centres, dry sports centres. So the Guarantee project is made up of 15 partners across, or 14 partners, sorry, across EU. It was a Horizon 2020 project and is focused on the expansion of the use of EPC in both the private and public sector. You can see here the range of project partners from across Europe, and the project partners are also major different types, from energy agencies to national bodies to finance institutes and EPC facilitators. One of the main outputs of the Guarantee project is the best practice database. This is a place where you'll find many examples of EPC projects that are being implemented, have been implemented as part of these projects, and are being implemented across Europe. So here's an example from the Czech Republic. It just gives you a project description, details on the actual measures that were installed, and most importantly, the facts and the figures behind the project. So the duration of contract, total investments, guaranteed savings, etc. So there are many, many examples on this database, and you can find it on the Guarantee project website. And it'll give you a really good flavour of the current status of the EPC market in Europe. Another outcome from the Guarantee project is the EPC Assessment Tool. This is a tool to help the non-technical people who are considering using EPC or maybe looking to get in touch with a facilitator to get a handle on if the project they have in mind is suitable or not. So it's a very simple, it takes about 5 minutes. It's got 13 multiple choice questions based on the building or project you have in mind, such as the energy bills, your motivation for using EPC. And the outcome is an automatically generated report, which will give you an indication of the potential savings based on the experience of projects that have been completed by the partnership and that are also available in the best practice database. And you can find this on the Codema website under Projects and EPC Assessment Tool. So the main focus of the presentation or the webinar today is the EPC Policy Recommendations report. So this was completed as part of Guarantee. It's one of the main outcomes, and the recommendations in this report are based on the results of the 35 EPC projects that were implemented across the 14 countries during the project. And the policy recommendations are: number 1, communications, so dispel the EPC myths and simplify the message. 2 is the support of the role of the project facilitators, particularly in relation to the provision of training. And 3 is for guaranteed energy savings, so the inclusion of performance guarantees in all energy efficiency projects. So just to look at these in a little bit more detail now. So one of the main barriers to development of the EPC market is our understanding of what we mean by EPC. And it was very felt that we really need to simplify the message. So what is EPC? And essentially EPC is energy performance contracting, is the provision of energy services with guaranteed energy savings. That's it, plain and simple. There's many other things that are associated with EPCs, such as finance, but it's mainly, that's it. It's the provision of energy services with guaranteed energy savings. And when we look at the results, it's clear that we need to change the general narrative that surrounds EPC. There are currently a number of common misconceptions, and these misconceptions are a significant barrier to the development of the EPC market. The first is finance. So EPC is that it should only be considered if you need external finance. So EPC should only be considered in the case where you need to borrow money. And from the results of the guarantee project, we can see that this clearly isn't the case, that most of the projects implemented were either fully client financed or part client and ESCO financed. So what this chart really demonstrates is the flexibility of the EPC approach when it comes to finance. The second myth is that EPC is only for large projects. Again, the results clearly demonstrate the broad range of projects for which EPC approach can be used. The majority of projects in the guarantee example had an investment of less than €1 million, with the average investment, overall is just 1.5 million. So this again clearly shows the flexibility of the EPC approach. So another myth is that EPC projects are significantly more costly to implement than traditional projects. But this is kind of a strange one. This is a little bit like comparing apples and oranges. And there's a number of reasons for this. A traditional project tends to focus on single technology projects, where EPC, by their nature, tend to be more of a whole systems approach. Traditional contracts is just for the implementation phase, while an EPC is a multi-annual contract. There's no measurement and verification of performance with a traditional project, but with an EPC, the contract payments are very much dependent on the M&V. And over the duration of an EPC contract, it is likely that there would be multiple traditional procurements to implement the same numbers of measures as an EPC does. So while initially in the project preparation might be a little bit more detailed, it's something for the long term and not just a quick fix. And again, the guarantee results show that the majority of projects took less than 6 months to procure and between 6 and 12 months in preparation. The first project, like any first, is difficult and a lot of learning is required, but after that it can become pretty straightforward. But this is where an experienced project facilitator can play a key role. The second policy recommendation has got to do with project facilitators. And this is support and recognition for the role of the project facilitator. The role of the project facilitator is not widely recognized and supported across Europe. The role is sometimes perceived as an additional cost burden on a project, but project facilitators are the greatest initiators of EPC projects. So through Guarantee, facilitators have helped to initiate 35 EPC projects. These 35 projects comprised of 642 individual buildings with a total floor area of 2.7 million meters squared, 20 with guaranteed energy savings greater than 20%, and 11 with guaranteed energy savings of greater than 40%. And we can see this in this chart here. And it's worth pointing out that these are contractually guaranteed energy savings, not aspirational ones. And that, again, is the fundamental importance of EPC, or the EPC approach. The more mature and developing EPC markets fully recognize, or quickly developing EPC markets fully recognize this role as an important aspect of the EPC market. So Slovakia and Slovenia in particular are two of the fastest developing markets, and the project facilitator here is seen as quite important. Project facilitators are essentially an EPC sales team. So in Slovakia, EPC facilitators serve as the main initiators of energy performance contracts in the public sector. This was from Environus in Prague in the Czech Republic. They play a key role in overcoming clients' lack of trust in EPC. So this is from the IJS in Slovenia. And they have a big impact as they indicate to building owners the possibility and chances of implementing measures by using EPC. And this is from the Berlin Energy Agency. So we can see across Europe that facilitators are recognized, but a lot more could be done. The third policy recommendation is in relation to guaranteed savings. And they were saying that energy efficiency projects should be mandated to include energy performance guarantees that are measurable and verifiable. We're not saying that all projects should use EPC. We're saying that all projects should have an energy performance guarantee. So it could be as simple as a before and after measurement for a lighting project, but the performance guarantee is important. And this allows a project to achieve real and measured and verified results. And crucially, this can create a cash flow within a project which can be used to access finance. So without the measurable and verifiable results of a performance guarantee, this is not possible. In addition to the energy performance guarantee drives project scale and encourages the pooling of buildings. And the broad range of building types involved in the guarantee project clearly shows the flexibility of the EPC approach. So we can see here we have a large number of schools, offices, residential buildings, healthcare, creche, swimming pools, car parks, art centres, all the way down to public lighting and laboratories and fire stations. So a huge range of different projects. So in total, we had 35 projects containing 642 individual buildings, or an average of 18 buildings per pool. EPC also encourages projects to look at a broad range of compatible measures and not just single-use technologies. The range of energy efficiency measures vary greatly between projects. Lighting, monitoring and control and HVAC are the most common, as we can see here. Building envelopes measures were surprisingly high in this particular project because they're not usually considered appropriate in EPC projects due to the long payback, but they can be incorporated. An EPC moves monitoring and control from being an add-on to the center stage. It's one of the key areas of success in EPC. It's one of those measures where it takes very little investment but can achieve a lot of savings. So now, just to finish off, I would like to highlight two EPC projects that we have brought through the process so far. Both of these were with Dublin City Council Sports and Leisures Department. The first project was with the DCC Leisure Centres project and involved Ballymun, Markovich and Finglas Leisure Centre. It's a group of 3 buildings. Contract was signed in July 2016. It was for 8 years, and it involves the full maintenance of all the equipment. So potential energy savings were at 38% or 164,000 and 640 tons of CO2 savings. So how has it worked in reality? So year one results show that savings exceeded expectations and reached 186,000 in cost savings. This increase was due to the increased proportion of electricity or daytime electricity in the savings. And it's 38% overall savings, which is on target. And it looks like year two will be on target to save the same amount. If we look here, we can see the actual energy baseline compared to the energy to the actual measured results. So we can see the before period, which is the baseline period from December 14 to October 14. Then the project began in December 2016, and we can see immediately that the electricity drops from the implementation of the measures and stays down relative to the baseline through the project. It's a slight increase in the summer of 2018 due to the exceptionally hot summer and the increased cooling load that was required during then. If we look at the gas savings, we can see a similar story. What's interesting here is that during the first winter, the savings, there was some difficulty in achieving gas savings. They were not as significant as big as the ESCO would have liked, but they stayed working with it and they ironed out the problems that they were experiencing. And then we can see clearly for the winter of 17 and 18 that the gas savings were achieved, and there's a significant reduction in consumption. That's that point there. So that's it from me, and thank you very much for joining. And if you would like any further information at all, please don't hesitate to contact me on the details on the screen. Thank you.